Hey everyone, welcome back to Ark Encounter. I'm your host Maha, and I'm so excited to be on this journey with you. Today we have a special guest. Our VIP is a leader, and he's going to tell us how he encounters networking through the lens of leadership. And of course, not without our wonderful guide, Casey Cox. I'm excited for this one, so let's begin our Ark Encounter journey with this video.
The lifestyle path to better choices. It empowers us to live life to the fullest and paves the way for people like you and me to discover our unique purpose and passion. Choosing to walk the AHRK path invites transformation and growth in 5 key areas of life: leadership, communication, mindset, community, and lifestyle. As we dive into these lenses, they redirect our focus and guide us into a deeper understanding of where we're at today and where we're going tomorrow. This is Ark Encounter. Welcome to the AHRK Path.
Well, welcome back in the Ark Encounter. Have you figured out that I love being your guide? I mean, what a great opportunity to demonstrate that anything is possible. My name's Casey, and I am the guide here on Ark Encounter, and I'm guiding you through these paths, these 5 unique lenses of life. And today we dig a little deeper into leadership. We recognize that leadership's not a position, but it is a posture. It's not something that somebody gives to you, but it is something that you live into and you learn. And so as we encounter leadership today, we are going to look at it through the lens of networking. And I don't think there's a better place to put this little quip to say that your network is your net worth when it comes to leadership. So who are you connecting with? How is it that you stay in relationship with them? And how does that result to increase your net worth to the world? Well, today we have a VIP with us. He truly is unarguable because his values are deep. He's unshakable because he's been tested and tried in this industry, and his identity is on show for everybody to go, wow, I mean, how did he do it? And he's undeniable. I mean, just truly undeniable. He leads in so many different spheres of influence that his purpose is transforming the community. I have the true joy of being friends with this VIP, so let me introduce you to Joel Clelland. Joel, thanks for joining us on the Ark Encounter.
Thank you, Casey. Great to be here.
It is so good to be here. And Joel, you live VIP. I mean, I think you were living VIP up here before anybody told you you were a VIP.
That's probably true.
I mean, but because you lived up here VIP, you found opportunities to express it all over the place. Let's go back to the beginning. Value. Where did you get your values? Who instilled value in you? And that doesn't just have to mean from beginning when maybe your parents, but who's still instilling the values in you? And where do you find this resource of valuable information that lives inside of you?
I'm a firm believer in meeting with people on a regular basis who will put good into you. And one of the people that I meet with every other week is a gentleman who's a fellow business leader. And sometimes I just get together with him just to find out what is working and what is not working in your life. And that doesn't have to just be in the business side.
So you maintain a mentorship relationship with this individual, and out of that grows a relationship that continues to reinforce your values.
Absolutely.
God, I love that. Tell me a little bit more about what makes Joel valuable. What are your values that you have that live inside of you like a treasure chest? If we were to open up that treasure chest, what would we find as the values of Joel?
I was told that one of my values is bringing optimism to organizations.
That's a beautiful catchphrase, bringing optimism to organizations. That's a leadership style.
I think so.
We're going to go there.
I had a gentleman share this with me about 7 months ago. And when he articulated that to me, I thought, wow, I've been living that for a long time.
Mm-hmm.
And he kind of dug a little deeper and said, you are bringing this to this new organization that you're stepping into.
Awesome.
And it was wonderful because I definitely agreed with that. But I think I've been living something much deeper than that for a long, long time.
Tell me a little bit about that.
I care about people and I want to make an impact. And those two things, people and making an impact, drive everything I do.
And that just draws me back to that opening kind of sentence, your network is your net worth. When you really put that value on people and the impact that you can have, you recognize that your transaction with anybody, every single one of them cashes in because it's now an opportunity to make a difference in the world.
Definitely.
Cool stuff. Go ahead.
I would say that learning and forgiveness are critical. It's not just what we know, but it's who we know.
Mm.
And that leads right into the power of networking.
Mm-hmm.
But in addition to learning, we have to forgive ourselves when we make mistakes.
Clean slate, starting fresh.
Right. And on the other side of learning is we can't know everything.
I'm processing all of this.
Yeah.
I don't know if you're taking this in and listening to what Joel has to say, and you're like, we just started. Oh my gosh, he's dropping these nuggets of gold out here. You forgive yourself, you learn, and then you were going somewhere else. It's not just yourself, but it was somewhere else. Where were you going?
Steve Jobs, the late great Steve Jobs, ran Apple for a period of time. Then he left, then he came back. But one thing that he was famous for saying was, we hire people not so we can tell them what to do. We hire them so they can tell us what to do.
Mm.
We can't know everything, and if we're always learning, we're curious about how things work and the best strategies and ways to do things, we're going to bring people into our orbit that are going to help us be better.
That's so beautiful. I use a phrase, and we use it on the Ark Encounter, living above the line. And it's remaining curious,
Yes.
and yet creative, and yet having this posture of relational conversations all the time to go, hey, what can I learn from you? I really want to understand more about what your point of view is. And Joel, you've modeled that in your values. Take me into the identity. The identity in the VIP is, it's everybody can share the same values, but as it comes through you, it keeps showing up a little bit differently. It's the exterior. It's a little bit more structured. It's like, this is Joel. What's some of the places of identity that you go, yeah, that's tested. That's who I am. That's how I show up over and over again.
And it was transformative. I think back to when I was in high school, I was the president of the marching band.
Okay.
Not the drum major, the president. And as a...
That means a lot to you.
It does, and I'll tell you
to
why.
everybody else that was in that world, but to me,
No.
I have no clue why there's a difference.
So the president is more behind the band and the drum major's in front.
Okay.
So one of the things that I thought was kind of unique is I was released to be my best self in my junior and senior year of high school. We were in a transitional period. We were moving from one band director to a new band director, and we didn't know who that person was going to be.
Yeah.
And so I was the only student representative on a panel with a couple of parents, a vice principal, and another board member. And I was treated just like one of the adults.
Wow. You
I was given a
encountered
place.
Leadership at that point.
Yes.
Recognized
indeed.
you had influence. I'm just validating the fact that you're the right person sitting here today. This is good. I didn't know that story about you. And
I didn't know I was going to tell that story.
That's what we call the Ark Encounter. And I just remind you at home or wherever you're at in the car, the Ark Encounter is just a raw, authentic connection. It's a couple of people talking about their story and recognizing there's so much depth in every single one of our stories. But until we take the time to encounter it, that is to acknowledge, heal, restore, and experience a celebration of the kingdom, it's not ours. It's like we're living somebody else's life until we take ownership of it. And that's really where we go with leadership today.
Yeah.
This identity, you're owning that part of your story and saying, it matters.
Right. And I would say that as we reflect on what happened back then, it really set me on the path of leadership.
And so take that path out and bring it to this purpose. I mean, purpose is big. It's sometimes people leave it out in front of you, but bring it into, Joel, are you fulfilling a purpose in this world?
Definitely. I was talking with somebody the other day about changing the world. And people have different opinions about if they can change the world or not, or if we have that much power. And what I did was I couched it in, no single one of us can change the world, but we can make an impact on our corner of the world.
Amen.
And I think what that does is it kind of lends itself to many hands make for light work.
Okay.
And
Like that.
And as I was released in leadership at a young age, we can release one another to be our best selves, to make an impact for good.
I'm forgive me for being caught up into, as we're sitting here, I'm thinking of, and we'll get to this in restoration, so no need to rush it, the leadership that you bring to your nonprofit board. And it wasn't what I first thought of, honestly, as I thought about this conversation. But sitting here, I'm like, that's going to fit right there. So I just went there for a moment. Forgive me for having my own moment. But let's jump into this Ark Encounter. The beauty of the Ark Encounter, Joel, and you were just talking with us before going, I have no idea what the Ark Encounter is. What am I doing here? Casey asked me to show up, and so I showed up. Thank you for trusting me on that. The Ark Encounter is a pathway. It's really a journey that we walk repeatedly. It just has this experience of saying it's not a one-time journey that you go, oh, I made it. It's this experience of life, like every day when you wake up and you go, what am I going to do today? Am I going to be thankful and grateful? Yes. And then my day is going to go in the right direction. In the same way, Ark is this, I acknowledge what's real. What's seen and unseen? What do I have access to and what don't I have access to? And how do I want to change maybe some of these experiences? We go into healing, we go into restoration and kingdom. We'll hit those along the ways, but let's camp at acknowledge right now. And I invite you to think, what's real in your life? Sometimes our own flesh and blood is so real that we go, oh, I'm sick or I'm strong, whatever it is, but maybe we don't know what's going on behind the scenes. How do I feel about that? That's just as real. What's my perception as we joke about running? It's not a joke. As we talk about running a marathon, that's real.
It is.
But what's maybe even more real is my emotions about running a marathon. So, Joel, bring us into networking and leadership. What do we need to acknowledge about networking, the pros, the cons, the challenges, the successes, and how do you do that from a leadership lens?
The strength of everything we have is based on our communities. And the communities, whether we're doing service together, growing our neighborhood or village together, or in business, is only as strong as the people we've released to be their best selves.
Okay.
Basically.
As you said, the we've released, take me into that. What I heard when you said we've released, I heard leadership. Was that there?
Yes.
Okay, so I just pulled that little piece out and I go, tell me about leadership and we released.
Right. A term I love is autonomy.
Okay.
Because it's auto, it's singular. And what I think, autonomous.
All right.
Autonomy. When I'm in situations where I'm asked to lead, a lot of times people who are pre-existing, because sometimes I come into new organizations and I'm starting above people.
Okay.
In various
Positionally.
capacities. Correct.
But we talked about leadership's not just a position, it's a posture.
No, it's not. And I mean, we could talk about executive etiquette and things like that, but what I've always tried to maintain with people that are in my care, because that's how I see it, whether it's 10 people or 1,000 people that are in my care, is that they have to know that I'm here for them and that I'll support them, whatever it is that they need.
Reminds me of a Carnegie quote that people don't care what you know until they know you care. and you're acknowledging that the position of leadership, which is true, executive level is a position of leadership, but you can carry that position and bring your heart into it, that people would recognize that you really do care. And what I love about the acknowledgement aspect of the AHRK path is when we talk about I care for people, that's an unseen reality until there's action in it. But a lot of people will know that you care before you do anything. The way you look at them, the way you listen to them, the way you show up. And that's really what I'm hearing you acknowledging about how leadership and networking plays out. So when you go into a room to network, you can go in with a checklist and a strategy, or you can go into the room differently. When you go into a room to network, which you do on a regular basis, am I correct?
Definitely.
So you've learned a few things. I want to know, what are the mistakes you learned from? So healing is about releasing the things that don't work and taking on some things that do work. What are some common errors in networking that you've just learned, look, I just don't do that anymore?
Right. Or things I've witnessed.
Yeah. Experienced.
Right.
Ooh, that was
I'm not going to do that.
That was uncomfortable.
I think whenever, we'll call them high performing, living above the line, working above the line people in business situations come together, there's there's the possibility that selling can come out
Okay.
because everybody sells. We're all salespeople
Mm-hmm.
to one degree or another.
Yeah.
And whether we're selling ourselves or we're selling a product, something like that. But I've recalled that when I've been in situations where I felt there's been pressure at a networking event, I don't feel like the person is interested in getting to know me. See how we can help each other. It's just, what can I get?
They pulled that relational component out of it and
Right.
said, let's just transact
Let's just
on a
be
product.
transactional.
Yeah.
Right. And I don't think that works. Especially long term, it doesn't work. Because if we really take the time to get to know each other, we can really support each other.
Imagine if people actually knew you're VIP. Imagine if I didn't know you're VIP. Our relationship would be so different. And what you're highlighting there in this healing component is we can learn from each other. No one has my VIP. I don't have your VIP, Joel. But where we get some feedback from one another about, hey, how does that work for you? And we engage it with a listening posture, we are healing.
Right.
We're learning, we're living our best life. And out of that element, leadership emerges.
Right. We listen to understand rather than listen to respond.
Excellent.
That I think that's part of it too.
Mm-hmm. So let's continue down the Ark Encounter and say, okay, so we acknowledge that we don't see everything, but that we want to see more. And then we heal from the things that aren't working or that are holding us back. We release that fear and that anxiety about even networking sometimes. We just go in the room and we get started seeing real people. Restoration is a building component. It's an element where we go, if I continue to do this, I'm going to be a better version of myself. And so in leadership, walk me into, you were not always a CEO. You were not always a executive director or a board president. You were in high school, but not always in a financial capacity. What are some of the things you chose, Joel, that you believe were significant to a restoration element of preparing you to be where you're at today?
Futility. Being able to give up. A lot of times people think
So I'm gonna pause.
giving up is not a good thing.
Yeah, you just
But
said,
it
what,
can
what,
be.
did, what did you do? I learned how to give up.
But let me explain.
Yeah, I'm going to tie it back to your release word. Go for it.
Excellent.
Go for it.
I do NLP,
Okay.
and I know you're familiar with it.
That's a
We're not gonna get into
that's
it
a
right
coaching understanding of
Yeah.
how the linguistics things work in the brain,
How
right?
things work.
Yeah, neuro
Subconsciously.
something going on. It's good stuff.
There are sometimes activities or things that we're engaged in, relationships, maybe a job or a business, that we need to get over the line. We need to complete. We need to wrap up.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes we need to cut.
Mm.
And when things are not working, when they aren't good for us on some level, we need to truly assess, is this something I even need to have in my life, or is it time to give up on that? I'm not going to give up on me. I'm going to give up on that
Yeah.
because that's not working.
So you give yourself the permission in the Ark Encounter. You give yourself permission to heal and say, I can let go of that, not because I'm quitting, but because I'm actually choosing what's best.
Stepping into a better version of myself.
And as you step into the better version of yourself, you have a new opportunity to build, to grow.
Yep.
Take me to your nonprofit leadership. You've been doing some fabulous things and impacting the community as a leader. What are some ways that you've integrated your networking that you would do for your business in the same way you can do it for community transformation?
I'd say it's seamless. It's
Okay.
really seamless.
Which is a really important concept.
I think so too. And I'll just explain it this way, is it's seamless in that when I'm networking, I don't go out to say, okay, what can I get? Who can I meet that can help the community? Who can I meet that can help me with my business? I have those ideas in my head, but I'm not trying to go out to get them.
Yeah.
Like I know who I want to meet,
Mm-hmm.
but I don't put it in a box.
So you
where's the
release the
opportunity?
selfish, I need this. I like to say, and I've heard somebody wrote it in a book and I took it and said, I like to say it. And the best quotes are there. If you need somebody, you can't lead somebody. And what you've demonstrated is the fact that as you go networking in a leadership mentality, you're not there to collect and consume.
No.
You're actually there to contribute and make a difference.
Yeah. If I can.
If you can.
If I can. If I can help, I will.
I'm going to let that mic drop. If I can help, I will. I think that's just kind of a theme we hear about the networking. I think a lot of people look at networking as if, oh, we're just going out to do sales. There's an article at the AHRKpath.com talks about all of life is sales. I wrote it there, and it reaches into some of these concepts. It goes, sales aren't dirty. There's just dirty people. And sometimes dirty people do sales. So on the Ark Encounter, what we're inviting you to is, Joel, you're not dirty. And the reason why, Joel, you're not dirty is because you've been forgiven. You've been restored. You've actually learned from the shortcomings, and I won't do that again. And as we live into that culmination experience, we go, wow, I can change the world. I can change my community. I can change my family. And I can change myself by simply having my values, my identity, and my purpose being lived out. Am I capturing kind of your story there?
Definitely.
Anything you want to add about you and your story on leadership and networking today?
Can I share about Jim?
I would like to know Jim. Tell me about Jim.
Almost 20 years ago, I had a young family. My wife and I had our oldest, who was a baby at the time. And a lot of times with families that are just starting out, there are financial concerns.
Yeah.
Trying to learn how to live in the world of finance.
Make it every day count.
Correct.
With what you got.
And I was starting to look to the right and the left a little bit. Are there other ways that I can bring more money into my family? And I was a mobile disc jockey. I had a business for a time. Do I expand that? I did a little bit. Looked at real estate.
Yep.
But it wasn't until a gentleman named Jim, the insurance agent, stopped by to see us. And he took care of our family. He educated us on some things that we didn't know. And I kind of left it at that. But a couple of years later, after kind of looking at a variety of different things, I picked up the phone and called Jim and I said, how do you do what you do? And that's how it started for me.
And it opened up a whole new arena.
It did.
And you've just been following that path. If you're watching on the series, if you've subscribed to the Ark Encounter, you've heard more than one conversation this week as we talk about networking. And there's an entire business realm around networking, whether that be selling insurance, whether it be connecting in mortgages and real estate, as you mentioned before, health coaching and engaging people to say, how do I serve along the way? And Joel, you've embodied all of those things in different parts of your life to get out there and say, I can make the world a better place. And that's where we touch kingdom. We recognize that when you are standing in your best place, it actually changes your world to inspire others to change their world. And
can I share the biggest surprise?
Go for it.
The biggest surprise that I've seen, and I don't even know why I'm surprised anymore,
Okay.
is that people want to help you.
You're saying people want to help you.
People want to help us.
Me, you,
Right.
everybody.
Everyone, the collective you.
Okay.
And what does that mean? A lot of times people shy away from talking to people who are more successful than them, maybe more established than them. Don't do it.
CEOs. Ooh, Joel's a CEO.
Yeah, don't do it. Don't shy away.
Yeah, jump in there and go,
Lean
Joel,
into the bite.
tell me about it.
And tell people what your dreams are. Because they are interested.
I think Joel maybe didn't even know it, but he just captured where we're at in this kingdom encounter. It's this vulnerable place where, I use big words, intimacy and connection and party and life, ecstasy. I mean, I got all sorts of words that come up for me when I think about the kingdom, and they're redeemed. They're not scary. And jumping into your world and going, I want to know more about you. And letting that wall come down as if I have to pretend or posture as if I'm something I'm not, just really being an authentic human. And I believe that each one of us have the capability to become a leader, to lead our lives, to step into it. There's skills that we can learn. There's books that we can read. We can develop who we are as individuals. And Joel, thank you for coming today on the Ark Encounter and demonstrating that a journey began for you early in high school where you go, hey, I am a leader, and you haven't stopped yet.
Nope.
You've been passing this on to your children. You've been giving it away to your community, leading your businesses this way, and if I might add, having a global impact because you haven't stopped yet.
We're not done.
So let us enjoy a kingdom party in the celebration of the Ark Encounter. It's coming for you because you're on the other side of this camera. Come join us on this side. Be a guest. Let us know you exist and you go, hey, I've never heard my VIP story given out loud. I want that. Get connected to us, subscribe, follow along, and here, listen to Maha, because she's going to tell you exactly how to stay connected with us as we continue down the path called the Ark.
Joel has claimed his purpose, which is to build and instill leadership in others so he could see them thrive. So let's continue to learn, be quick to forgive, and let's grow together. If you enjoyed what you heard today, I invite you to check out our website so you could listen more. We are at AHRKpath.com. We also have social media, which is AHRKpath. We have an app called Circles Now. We also have courses and amazing podcast sessions created by Casey Cox and Bernard Bashura. It was a pleasure to be here with you today. I'm your host, Maha. Thank you for tuning in to Ark Encounter. We'll see you next time.